This morning, I was trying to sit down and like write. I like every how everyone else does, or how I usually do every morning. I was trying to sit down and write, and for whatever reason, I was, like I said, facing that type of resistance, and which is fine. Like resistance is completely normal, especially when you're trying to like keep on a habit. Whenever you're trying to like change and grow. um but I was facing like mad resistance, and I kind of realized that like what I wanted to already speak about, you know what I mean, like to speak to you, is always on my mind, and I'm always thinking, and I always have something something to talk about. But most importantly, I figured that in a way it was unnecessary and I was wasting time. If it just felt like I would like what I already needed to, I already had the material that I needed, and it was all within me, and it's here. And it makes me sometimes think about like because obviously like I do this type of content where I sit here and speak to you, and there's other people out there that do the same, and they just turn on the camera and they just talk to you, and then they just turn it off and then post it online. And I think it's beautiful how simple and effective that process can be, and heal both the person that's speaking and the person that's listening. And I find myself at times like thinking that I have to do so much to be different or stand out or to be successful or efficient, you know what I mean? Because everyone says, you have to be different, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I feel like when you consistently put in like that type of extra thought into things, it's kind of like it's like makeup, right? For certain people, makeup is an actual art style where they actually get to express themselves, and um yeah, just like actually get to express themselves in the way that they want to, in the divine right. And then there's, for some people, they wear makeup to try to cover up something, or make something seem way bigger, way more extra than it actually is. And I don't want my shit to be all make with it like, I want it to be authentic, I want it to be raw, and I don't want all like the makeup on it. And like I find my fiance personally like the most beautiful whenever she doesn't have makeup on. And I guess the answers, like how they always say, cliche enough, the answers are always there within you, and they're always there, and that's very true. And because that's a part of myself, and that's always been the thing about me. Um and I guess when you the aspiration here is like that I'm here figuring it out, is that different parts of yourself will give you answers to other parts of yourself. You gotta connect that dot, connect that line, just like I said with beauty and makeup. That was a beautiful analogy to help me understand that. And that came through from acting upon how I was feeling, that resistance. Maybe maybe the lesson here is like understanding that there's different and better paths, one that gives you peace. Like I said in the last one, like, this is peace to me. But I recognized, and then recently I've been doing a lot of studying upon intuition, and um learning how to guide yourself within yourself, but with unseen forces, and and the God within you, your own divinity, I should say. And it's becoming a very cool, magical interest in like study, because I'm very interested into the conscious realm. Like I said, a lot of people, we studied only a certain amount of the space, the sun, you know what I mean, like the ocean, but we barely even touched like the surface and scratched the bits of our mind. And I feel like staying in that study has just been very helpful and fun for me to live life. and changing my perspective every single day, understanding that every single day is an opportunity to be able to learn something new and to be able to practice what, you know, I personally preach, what anyone personally preaches. And it's always there's always a new door to knock and maybe even get the chance to walk through, you know. So there's, for certain people, there's reasons, you know, they say that we need faith to be able to continue living, and I see that as a sense of a truth. Regardless if you don't believe in a higher power or not, you have faith into something, that the reason why that you are waking up is for a certain reason, you know what I mean? Like, and that's like, and if you don't believe so, that's for you to figure out, you know. I feel deeply that the very questions that we ask everyone is the very questions that we should be asking ourselves. And whenever we finally become brave enough to sit down and ask ourselves that question, you know, to be able to be vulnerable enough with yourself and honest, you know, like I said, that will, you know, that would be the truth, and the truth will set you free, like I said in the last video. And when that happens, that's when you truly are able to understand that the world is never truly like out to get you, like at you. And the greatest thing about, like, I don't know if you played, but like the FromSoft games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, or any game that like you're a smaller human being fighting a big ass like god or a boss, and you defeat that boss, you understand that that is another like parable, another metaphor for life, as us as humans, you know, facing the uncertainty and the wheels of fortune of time and space and life and matter. And it shows us as humans, like as a person, as you, what more and more you're capable of. You know, I genuinely believe that as humans we're supposed to evolve. And someone had asked me recently on my job about like evolution, and that if he thinks that, or if I think that there's certain people that are placed on the earth to be able to, or sorry to repeat his question. He pretty much asked me, he was like, do you think that humans are meant to evolve things and always push things? And I said, of course, because there's certain people that are placed on the planet that are pushing the metrics in all the different fields. I said, I feel like the divine, the spirit and God puts whatever on people's hearts for them to, and if they follow and they stay authentic and they follow that within. Fucking Steve Jobs did it, you know, for example. And he even spoke about like I think a yogi, you know, something spiritual, something that like he had within himself that he like listened to get to where he was at. And that's pushing what Steve Jobs did. That's evolution. You know, pushing what Elon Musk is doing, it, that's evolution. That even goes down to monks, like pushing the boundaries of consciousness and suffering and mind. That's evolution. And I feel like as humans, you know what I mean, we're all in different spots to push whatever we need to push for evolution, because it's all a collective effort, it's all one. And so for me, like, not saying that I'm gonna you know, like push the metric of evolution to philosophy and psychology and spirituality and consciousness and all that stuff, but I do want to take part into understanding what I can understand now, and be able to study and, you know, play with the ideas that we have now, and to be able to maybe even make breakthroughs within my own self, to evolve my own self, you know, because that's what's placed on my soul, you know. But I genuinely believe that, like I said, like before, the human overall one consciousness, if we had to say as an age, you know, I don't know why I keep saying that, but pretty much, if I had to say, like, as of 2025 now, as a human consciousness as one, I would say that the age is around like 8. Because when you're around 8 years old, you're starting to understand. At least for me, when I was 8, I lived a very different, everyone lived a different, obviously, childhood. I grew up quickly, so I understood things a lot faster and more deeply than my peers. So by the time I was 8, if I was I and two, I was already in religious and spiritual backgrounds because I grew up Mormon. So when it came down to the spiritual realm, I already kind of had like a grasp on that type of level of thinking. So when you're there, you're like, okay, I understand that like red is red and blue is blue, and when you mix them together, they make purple. And and then you start to wonder, like, okay, but what if you, but why does it, why does it make purple? And then what about that why, that next question? And when that's, at least that's how I was around when I was 8. And you start to look at things a little differently, and you start to understand that there's more, but you also understand that like my brain is just too small. I cannot make the connections yet, and therefore I will have to continue experiencing life, or the realms of whatever. Or by the time I was 8, I had experienced life to get those answers. Taking that into context for evolution, as an evolution, one mind is consciousness, as humans wise, that is the same thing. We will be having to have more experience and come together more often, to witness, to be able to understand, or to grow consciously, so that's, I feel like that's why it takes more than just, for example, right? What if, take an example, back in 2024, this is a perfect example. Back in the 1980s, a lot of people were speculating of aliens. Everyone was getting alien sightings. I want to say like 70s, 50s, like whatever, like around the 1900s. That's when like the alien sightings started to be a lot more apparent. You know what I mean? For fuck's sakes, we had witches back in the 1300s, and they got burnt because of superstition and not understanding the powers that we actually have, or like, not taking into account, and that ignorance and arrogance caused them to do some really bad things. And so therefore, when we take into account on, let's say, fast forward to the aliens, right? Whenever people were talking about aliens and speculating about aliens and other life forms, again, ignorance and arrogance, it's like, oh my god, you know what I mean? And I can't like really blame them, like around especially the 80s and stuff. Like, you just got done with like the whole, like, there was a lot, if you look back in history around that time, there was so much going on, and there was a lot of like word of mouth suspicion things, and a lot of that like got a lot of people killed for, a lot of innocent lives that were lost, and a lot of unnecessary things that could have been prevented. But again, that was an experience that evolved a general all one consciousness to where we're like, wow, we all agree that we never want to do that again. You know what I mean? Like, we all agree that we never want to experience that again. We all agree that, we never want to, do that again. And obviously, like, unfortunately, as of what's going on now today, history does seem to repeat itself in ways. But that's, again, because there's still yet things that need to be learned, and therefore it will continue to repeat until the lessons and we get the experience bottle is filled, and where our conscious level is up to like, evolution wise, is up to like, you know, to where we can like open our like, we could wake up each morning and we're all like knowing that like we're all under, you know, great something, and we all understand that we can all, you know, turn to each other and be like, you know, the meme like, did you pray today? It's like that. It's like we could all like look at each other and say that, and then like actually like mean that in a sense, in your own way. Not saying that it has to be under like one like that. Like, I'm not gonna personal take here. I think God Divinity 1 is like whatever you feel resonates the most, you know. Please follow that. If it's Allah, follow that. If it's Buddha, follow that. If it's Spirit, follow that. If it's God, follow that. It's because it's all one, so it doesn't matter the name. It's what you feel, because that's what we all connect on. We all energetically connect. We all energetically connect. Yes, that's the word. So if we're all connected to that energy, it doesn't matter the name or the title. It's the matter of if we're all connected to that energy. So yeah, I think that's what's going on. And when you think about that and take that into account, you look at yourself and you're like, okay, well, if the entire world is going through these trials to evolve and push under, if we're conscious of it or not, and it's all pointing towards one thing, but we're all too blind and too young to understand. We just need to continue to grasp on that experience until we do. And if we don't, like, that's completely okay. Like, there's certain things that we just aren't meant to know. And I feel like a part of what we as humans have to understand is that that's okay. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. But sometimes not knowing, we have to be okay with that, because that's, again, part of the magic. So yeah, I just wanted to speak to you about whatever was just, you know, placed on my heart. Honestly, like I said, I didn't script this. I just sat down and pressed record for whatever reason, but I just felt like I needed to speak to you about this, or get off my chest. And me and you both learned something through this. I know, because I learned something through this, especially in the beginning of the video. But yeah, just take some time to think about it. Take some time to understand, you know, take some time to ponder, and do not, you know, be scared. I think, like, whenever I, you know, was first, I guess, waking up to those things, to when you start understanding that life is bigger than you, then do not be scared of that fact. You know what I mean? Didn't let it set you free, and understand that, like, you are magical, and that's really fucking cool. So yeah, I'd say take care of yourself. Make sure you drink water, follow that intuition, meditate, understand things in life, ponder, pray, do whatever you need to do to stay on track to where you're going. And I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to see what you guys got going on to prosper. And yeah, ciao.